Here's my favorite part of the show, Money, Power, Politics. Media Matters is officially suing the FTC for its advertising investigation into whether they illegally colluded with other groups to starve the social media platform X, you know it as Twitter, of ad revenue. Remember, X sued Media Matters back in 2023 over a report that showed ads running next to pro-Nazi content on the site. But Media Matters claims the FTC is waging a, quote, campaign of retribution on behalf of Donald Trump and Elon Musk, of course, the site's owner. Our nightcap is still here. What's exactly going on here?
Yeah, for me, I go back to Linda Yaccarino, who's the CEO of Twitter and
former executive here at NBC.
I should say.
Yep.
You know, there was this very famous interview between Andrew Ross Sorkin and Elon Musk that happened at the Deal Book Conference, the big business conference. He comes out and he says essentially, it's like a presidential term you can use now.
Go F themselves.
Right, to the advertisers. So that has been the ethos of all this from the very beginning, that once Elon Musk took over this site, once he bought it, it changed. What was on it changed. Who was on it changed. It was everything from Cheech and Chong hawking their latest wares to stuff that's more sinister, as you mentioned. Elon Musk has had a gripe with Media Matters from the very beginning. Yes, X sued them. I believe Elon Musk has sued them a few times as well. What's fascinating about this argument that Media Matters is making is that the FTC is effectively squashing their free speech rights by doing this. What Media Matters said all along was these advertisers should be aware of what's showing up, how it's showing up. They should have the ability to determine what their advertisements appear next to, and it's malicious content like this should be something they shouldn't have to put their ads up against.
What's your take on this?
Look, I don't think you should be sued to force yourself to buy ads next to Nazis, you know.
Or you should be sued to place ads anywhere.
Yeah, boycotts are okay. You shouldn't. No one should. It's not some. The idea that when you boycott, it's some violation of the First Amendment is an absurd notion. You have a right not to buy something in America.
Okay,
and that's all a boycott is.
But also, why do we have to categorize it as a boycott?
I agree.
If I don't like what J. Crew is selling downstairs next season, I just don't have to go there.
You don't have to go.
If I decide I don't like what Twitter is offering, if I don't like what's on their platform, I could say, I don't want to advertise there. That's not a boycott.
This is part of this whole thing. You know, it used to be, believe it or not, part of Republicans that we didn't like frivolous lawsuits. And, you know, so this is Elon Musk.
You have a president who likes him quite a bit.
Yeah,
sure does. Well,
it's part of the whole thing. So Elon Musk, he's filing lawsuits around the world against them. It's not just here. So it's this idea that, you know, somebody has stood up to him, and you know how he gets, and it's just an absurdity. And the idea, you know, there's sort of weirdness here that we're supposed to feel sympathetic to Harvard. They made Harvard an underdog, and they made Media Matters an underdog, which is this vastly wealthy group out there. It's really amazing. But I think Media Matters is right on this. Absolutely.
Okay, but the absurdity is Elon Musk's claim is that he bought Twitter to support free speech. But the whole basis of now strong-arming advertisers that you should now advertise here irrelevant of what we have on our platform, they're now forcing their hand. How does that work?
Well, I mean, you look at Elon Musk, you look at a lot of these new members of the MAGA coalition, and they like to say that they're libertarians, and it reminds me of my favorite Onion headline of all time, which is Libertarian Reluctantly Calls Fire Department. And I feel like this headline is Libertarian Proudly Calls the FTC, right? They believe in free speech until it's speech they don't like, and now they have friends in high places, and so you call your friends in high places and you use the government to squash it. And I think that is, I mean, you know, I almost wonder if at some point we're just going to get tired of saying this is hypocritical because we're just everything, there's so much hypocrisy. But I think it's not just hypocritical, it's dangerous. And also these kinds of lawsuits are against free market economics, which people have been pointing out for a very long time is good for the economy.
Okay, I'm so glad you said that. Because Donald Trump ran on free market economics, right? What did you and I hear over the last 4 years? Every big business person that you and I interview they couldn't stand Lena Khan. They couldn't stand the FTC. They said, you know, her ways, her ideology was strangling business. How can any business in this environment feel safe with a president that could go after them, with a government that could sue them?
Well, it's an echo to what I said in the first block, and that is you have a president and his advisors. His advisors are quite fearful or anxious about what might happen to them. And I think this story is very similar. You look at the way this is unfolding, and Alex Spiro, who's Elon Musk's attorney, very famous attorney, works with a lot of these corporations, reportedly is kind of advising them on how they can kind of get away from a moment where they could be sued by X as a result of this. So it's the same culture of fear about financial repercussions, legal repercussions, getting wrapped up in some extraneous lawsuit that's driving all of this as well. It is radically different than what I think a lot of these folks were promised on the campaign.
But remember all of these CEOs who felt they were unhappy that Joe Biden didn't call them on the phone enough. And they felt like they were going to have a bat phone into the White House. Even if you do, even if you can text DJT, that doesn't mean you're going to get your way.
Yeah, listen, I think it was a real moment when they failed what it means to be a citizen. I don't get it. I don't get Steve Schwartzman. I really don't. Why do you do this? I mean, do you want to be a CEO in Russia? I mean, because that's really what you're setting up here.
Do you know it's really funny that you say that? Years ago, I interviewed Steve Schwartzman, and he said to me that Blackstone doesn't do business in Russia because they can't trust the rule of law. And that's the situation we're quickly finding ourselves in.
And what was so horrible about the Biden years? Was it the record stock market or the record low unemployment? I mean, these guys, they're just, can they not
It's that he didn't call them on the phone on Fridays and say, hey, boys, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it is antithetical to every statement that they have of their virtues, of their company values. If you read what it says, it's not what they're acting on. And, if there is a history in America of wealthy people playing a civic role that's positive. And that is sort of being distorted here with this whole tech bro thing. And they're just vastly wealthy, as you said. And they really think about only themselves and how they don't really believe in democracy. I mean, Peter Thiel has said that outright. And it's really a very strange turn. I like the Warren Buffett kind of billionaire.
He didn't get invited to the Jeff Bezos wedding.
I was going to say, no phone party for Stuart. He's stuck here with us tonight.